Hi, I'm Scott Wyman, the Training and Technology Coordinator here at Central Texas College. Welcome to my classroom. Today we're going to take a look at eTrieve content for people with view access. Today's lesson shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me. My number is 254-526-1381 if you're here on campus, extension 1381. Or you can shoot me an email at dwyman@ctcd.edu. We're going to take a look at content as a whole. Understand that content is a sub-application of eTrieve. eTrieve is the overall umbrella application, kind of like Microsoft Office has Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that kind of stuff. eTrieve has Central, which is what you know as eForms. Then it has Content, which is our new electronic filing system. And then it also has two other features that operate in the background that I use, eTrieve Workflow and eTrieve Security. You won't have to worry about those. So we'll start with just a little explanation of some of the tools. We'll take a look at an overall layout of the screen to get you familiar with that, and then we'll start breaking it down. We'll get into how the forms are filed. We'll look at how to do searches. We'll look at linking files and how to view the history of a document. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and get things switched over here. Alright, so this is our eTrieve login screen. Well, actually this is my log back in. If I click this button, this is my eTrieve login screen. Hopefully you know how to log into eTrieve. If not, again, give me a call, shoot me an email, and I'll be glad to help you out with that. So let me go ahead and log in. And this is the part of eTrieve that you're probably most familiar with. This is actually eTrieve Central. Most of you probably know it as eForms. eTrieve Central is merely one sub-application of the eTrieve umbrella applications, kind of like Microsoft Office. It has sub-applications. It has Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, so on and so forth. eTrieve also has sub-applications. Like I said, the one that you're most familiar with is eTrieve Central. And I'm going to see if I can't get us in here. Just a little bit closer. There we go. So this is eTrieve Central. Okay, like I said, this is where we've done most of our form work. But to switch from eTrieve Central to one of the other sub-applications, there's actually 4 applications that CTC uses. Not everybody's going to use all of these applications. But there is eTrieve Central that you're familiar with. That's our forms library. Then there's eTrieve Content that I'm going to show you how to use today. And then there's a couple that I use in the background, eTrieve Workflow and eTrieve Security. To change from one of these applications to the other, you come over here to what they call the task switcher or the waffle. There's something about food and IT folks. But you click on the task switcher waffle, and you'll see this is eTrieve Central. And then right here we're going to have eTrieve Content. So all you do is you click on this icon and it switches us over to eTrieve Content. I'm going to go and go full screen with this. There we go. So you can see everything that we have here. So across the top, again, we have the task switcher, and then we have the title bar. The title bar also acts as a reset button. Once we get in and I show you how to do searches and advanced searches, then we use this title, the content, the actual word content, as our reset button. Below that we have the simple search window. And then if I click on these expander buttons right here, it's actually a single expander button, then that brings up our advanced search window. And we'll get into both of those here in just a few minutes. Below that we have the unfiled area. I'm not sure how much you'll be actually filing documents, but if you file a document and it doesn't appear under the person where it's supposed to be filed, then you can look here in the unfiled area. And just as an example, here in the employee room we currently have 16 unfiled documents. So when I'm done with this video, I'll go in and take a look at those and see how many of those I can file. Usually they end up in here because the form that you filed or attempted to archive doesn't have an ID number, or it doesn't have a full name field, or it has the ID but not the name, or the name but not the ID. The content's pretty picky. It has to have all that required information. It also has to have a document type. So document type, ID number, and full name field are all required before it can file correctly these forms. So that's unfiled documents. Below that we have the actual file tree. If you're familiar with DocuScan, these used to be called rooms. Here in content they're called areas. Below each area we have our cabinets, and then in each cabinet we have drawers. Each person has their own drawer, and then under or inside each drawer we have the individual file folders, and then in the file folders we have the actual forms. We can take this and expand it just a bit so you can see more of the form titles. The forms in most of our areas are filed by document type. These are the document types: HR Ben-beneficiary, HR-Ben-CTC life. Here's HR-TRS. So they're filed by document type. All the document types, similar document types, are together, and then from then it's filed by date. This one really isn't a good example. This is a test file, so it's hard to find. But this one you can see general documents, and then by date, most current on the bottom. We'll see if we can find another one here. There you can see we have all of the change of addresses listed together with the most current on the bottom. And then comes the direct deposit forms with the most current on the bottom. And then we have a name change, on call, so on and so forth. So by document type, then by date. There are some areas such as the PSF folder where these are filed by date first, and then whatever the document type is. It's kind of irrelevant when it comes to the filing, because when it files by date, it's not going to put the document types in any type of order. Here you can see we have a change of status, termination, new hire, and then another termination, because it's filing by date with the most recent on the bottom. So that's just a little bit of how things are filed. Like I said, the majority of them are filed by document type, then by date. A few of our areas, a few of our folders are filed by date only. Okay, so this is the tree. Pretty simple. I don't know if you weren't familiar with document or DocuScan, it's no big deal. But if you were familiar with DocuScan, you know you couldn't easily scroll through our document tree. But here in eTrieve content, it's easy to scroll. You don't have to come over and move this or use the scroll buttons by themselves. You can scroll top to bottom in a matter of seconds. So that's good. Content is like eTrieve. It's a web-based application, so it's reasonably fast, but there is a little bit of lag time between the internet and your computer, so there may be some times where you have to give it a second, give it time to catch up. All right, so task switcher, title, search fields, unfiled area, the document tree. Below the document tree, we have the recycle bin. We do have the ability now to send documents to the recycle bin instead of just deleting them. For example, if I take this document, I'll just find one here. There's an awards and accolades. Just a test form, so it's no big deal. But if I decide that I no longer need this form in this person's file, then I can simply come up here to my toolbar on the top, and there's a trash can. This is our send to recycle bin button. When you click that, it then sends that form down here to the recycle bin. And since that was the only form in that folder, it disappeared. There's no more awards and accolades folder, because this was the only form located in there. So that's one of the great things about content, is it automatically updates and it refreshes real quick. So the only people authorized to delete items from this recycle bin are system admins. So you don't have to worry about that. If you find that you need that form back again, then you just come down here to this little pigtail. Let me see if I can get a little closer in here so you can see that. Take just a second. There we go. So if you come down here to the recycle bin, there's the form that I sent to the recycle bin. This is the button to delete that will not be available to most people. But if you need to bring it back, then we have this little pigtail is what I call it, the curly Q, or restore button. When I click that button, it will restore that document back to where it belongs. And you'll see it's right back here. Right here in the awards and accolades folder. It recreated that folder, moved the form back up. So that's really good stuff. I mean, the content is very user-friendly. Very user-friendly. Then here in the center we have the main document window. Pretty easy to figure out. We do have a zoom and zoom in and zoom out buttons. So you can, when you forget your glasses, you can zoom in to read the forms and zoom out to send it back to normal size. We have an attach button up here if you need to attach, or if you have the abilities to attach. You can attach documents to other documents. For example, I could attach a second page to this by clicking the attach button, finding the document that I want to attach, and now we have a two-page document, page 1, page 2. Real quick, real easy. If you want to see all of your pages at once, then you can go to this thumbnail view. But I do want to put out a word of caution. Users may delete individual pages from our documents. They can't delete an entire document unless they do it page by page by page. Even then, the document shell will remain. But we ask that you do not delete any pages from this thumbnail view unless you're absolutely sure that that page is no longer needed. When you click this X button to delete it, you get this confirmation. If you click OK, that page is gone forever. It does not send it to the recycle bin. The only way to get it back will be to re-import the entire document and then get rid of the duplicates. So make sure that you really want that page permanently deleted. Okay? Alright, so we'll go back to normal view. After that, we have a hide annotations button. What are annotations? Well, the annotations are located right here on this annotation button. When you click that, it opens your annotation toolbar. Some of the different annotations we have are sticky notes. You can create sticky notes. Click and drag to create it. Double click inside to activate the insertion line. And then you can add your own notes. You cannot change the color. You can't change the font. You can't change the font size. Not yet. That's some of the things that they're working on changing. But you can move it around. You can resize it. If you decide you don't need it anymore, you can right click and delete it. Okay, right click and delete. So that's a sticky note. Put another sticky note on there just for grins. We also have a highlighter. This second one, the ABC with the insertion bar beside it, is your highlighter. Once you click that button, you bring your mouse pointer down and then you click and drag to select a highlight area. Pretty easy. That too is movable, right? Nothing's permanent on here. You can right click and delete it. We have a freestyle pen, what I call the scribble pen. You can scribble on here if that's what you need to do. You can draw arrows, do whatever it is you need to do with that freestyle pen. We have a block annotation, which simply inserts, you click and drag to create a black square. Now this does not create a redacted document, because this, like all the other annotations, can be moved. It can be deleted. So if you put this block over a person's bit of information thinking, well, the next person that comes in and looks at this file, they won't be able to see it, you're wrong. They will be able to see it. All they have to do is click and drag and move that block out of the way. If you want to make a permanently redacted document, you add your squares wherever you need them, and then you download that form or that document as a PDF or print it as a PDF. Okay, we'll call this document 2.3 whatever redacted, and I'll just save it to my desktop so I know where it's at. Desktop, and I'll put it in my projects folder there. Save. Now if I go into my file explorer to my desktop, there's my desktop, and I put it in, what folder did I put that in? I put that in projects. So there's my projects folder, and there is my document. When you download or print these documents as a PDF, these annotations are permanent. The sticky note can no longer be moved or changed. The scribbling can no longer be moved and changed. And most of all, this black square can no longer be moved or changed. So this PDF is now a redacted document. But this form in eTrieve content is not, because this can all be moved, removed, whatever needs to be done with it. Okay. We also have a series of stamps. This is your stamp button. You click that button and it gives you a list of stamps. You just pick whichever one you want to use. I'll use the received, and then you click to place the stamp wherever you want it. And here you will see it titles it, and it adds my username and the date that I added that stamp. Okay, just another example. Here is a processed stamp. See, it comes in different colors. Again, my username, so you know who added that stamp, and then the date that that stamp was added. To make these semi-permanent, you have to save them. So if you want those to be permanent, make sure you save the annotations after you put them on there. All right, so we're going to move on. Let me get rid of these. I don't need these annotations. So again, just right click and delete, gets rid of the annotations, and then I will save it without the annotations. All right, save it without the annotations. We also have cleanup tools. You can increase the brightness of a document. Don't know it's going to make much of a difference on this one. You can change the contrast of a document. Probably have to find one it's kind of a real document. See if we have any in here. These are all just those red and white test documents. Well, if none of these are, I'll show you when we get in. Oh, there's one. There's one. So we can increase the brightness. Okay, kind of hard to tell on that. Can change the contrast. Kind of makes it a little sharper. And then you can also change, you can switch the inverted colors. And what this does is it makes smaller text easier to read. Okay, smaller text easier to read. And it goes by page. So these are actual different pages, and you can see that page separator right here. See that page separator. Here's another page separator, so it didn't apply it to this page. So if I bring it down so this page is visible, I can apply that. Again, if I want to save those changes, this is a save button over here. I apologize for the difference in save button images. That's one of the things that they're working on. They're going to make these the same style of save. And then there's also a decline or discard processing. So if I don't want that inverted colors, I click the X and that option goes away. There is an eraser button, and that's used to clean up little speckles. It's called the despeckle. This usually comes into play when forms or documents are scanned in. Same with this one. This is the remove hole punches. Works on the 3 hole punches on the side. We tested it on a 2 hole punch on the top. It didn't work so well. We tried rotating the document to put those hole punches on the side. Still didn't work. You can remove a border if you import something and it has a border. You can crop an image. This is the crop margins. This is the deskew, auto deskew. If your form comes in, it's just a little bit cockeyed, you can click that auto deskew. It'll sense the edges and straighten it up for you. And then there's a manual rotate button. This rotate button, if I wanted to rotate this thing 20 degrees, then I make it 20 degrees, click the rotate button, and it rotates it clockwise 20 degrees. If I want to rotate it back to 0, then I just decline those changes. If I want to make it rotate to the left, then I use negative numbers. So there's negative 20 degrees, click rotate, and it rotates it to the left 20 degrees. Again, if I decide I don't want those changes, I click the decline or discard processing, and it sends it back to normal. Then we also have a rotate button up here. If I can hide those, you'll see the rotate button right here. It's actually a flip button. It flips it 90 degrees at a time. So I can rotate this page 90 degrees, and you'll see it flips it 90 degrees to the left. Only that page. Content works by the page. So page 2 and page 3 haven't changed. So I can rotate it again, rotate it again, rotate it one more time, sends it back to normal. Okay, so if you scan documents in and I say just the 3rd page comes in that needs to be rotated, then you make page 3 visible, and then you click the flip button however many times you need to flip it. Oops, that was page 2. Let me fix page 2. Because page 2 is visible, that's the one it applied to. So be very specific so that you can only see page 3 and then flip. There it goes. So only page 3 flipped. And we'll do that one more time. Flip. Now it's down here. Flip it again. Now it's over here. And we'll flip it one more time and send it back to normal. All right, so that's our toolbar here. This is our download button. I've already demonstrated the download button. This is our print button. You can click this button and it'll open up a stream, what they call the stream window. It essentially opens it up in your browser as a PDF. All right, so you can print this or you could download it from here if you wanted to. That's pretty simple. Then we have a share button. If you want to share this document with someone else, you click the share button. It'll open our email dialog box. You enter their email address, you put in a subject and a message, and then you click the send button. Understand that the person you're sending this form or document to must have permissions to view this document. You can't just send this form or this document to anybody and everybody and say, here, take a look at this. You can't send it to somebody outside of CTC because people outside of CTC do not have access to our forms. So it has to be someone who has access to that form. Because what it does is it actually sends a link. It's going to send this URL, this web page link to that person. They'll click that link. They log into eTrieve, and if they have permissions, then it'll open up that form for them. If they don't have permissions, it's just going to go to the login page, and they're going to wonder what I'm supposed to do with this. Okay. So that is our share button. And I've already demonstrated the recycle bin. No need to go over that one again. At the top on the right side, we have our key fields. This shows you the document type, the employee information, the date the document was filed, any notes that go along with that particular file, and then a few other bits of information that were brought in from DocuScan. We also have, let me move myself over just a smidge here. We also have down here at the bottom, we have a links area. What this does is it allows you to link documents together so that if you download the first document or the second document, it'll automatically download the ones that are linked to it. So I'm going to go up here to, I don't want to do benefits. Let's link this awards and accolades form. All right, you'll see it down here in the link because that's our initial document. You always have to start and you always have to go back to your initial document to link other pages or other documents. So to link another document to this awards and accolades form, I click this plus button right here. Then I come over to my document tree over there, okay, and I find the form that I want to link to it. I click on that form, it opens it up, and it changes the X over here in links to a check mark. I click that check mark, oops, over here, I click that check mark, and now you'll see the clearance form is linked to the awards and accolades form. If I want to add another one, I go back to my initial document, the awards and accolades. I click the plus button, and then I go to my next document and select it from the tree. Then I'll come back over to my links, and I click the check mark, and now I have that document linked. So I linked 3 documents, but only 2 show up in this window. And that's because this document, the employee clearance form from August, is only linked to this document. It is not linked to this one. Same thing if I go to this one. This award or this employee clearance form from June 19th is not linked to this employee clearance form. You can see that over here. It is only linked to the awards and accolades form. But if I click on the awards and accolades form, you'll see that all 3 of those documents are now linked. So it's a process. If you have to do it, you'll get used to it. It's really not that difficult. If you need help with that, feel free to give me a call. Shoot me an email. I'd be more than glad to help you out with that. To unlink the documents, when you hover over the documents, let me see if I can get you zoomed in here a little better. When you hover over the documents, there we go. When you hover over the documents, you'll see this little unlink icon. Again, it's a little bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, you just kind of go over right above it and then slide down. When you click on that unlink button, it removes that document from the linked group. Same thing with this second one. I can slide on over and then drop down and unlink it. So now none of our documents are linked. Below that, we have the history area. The history shows you what's been happening with this document. So here you can see that I removed the link. I removed another link. I looked at the document. This is where I added the link, and I looked at it, and then I added another link. So every time, if I come down here and click on a different form, and then go back up to this form, it adds that to the history. Okay, it adds that to the history. So there's the second link that I removed. Again, it's going to take a minute to catch up with everything, but everything that's done, every time somebody goes in to look at this form, there you can see I deleted a page. Remember, because I went in here and I deleted that page, and it shows that. It shows who deleted that page. There you can see it just updated my viewing. But this is where I deleted the page. Hard delete. Ain't nothing soft about that. And this is where I attached that second document to it. So it keeps good track of everything that's being done to your documents. Okay, it does a really good job of keeping track of things. All right, so let's get into searching. There are two different types of searches. There's a simple search, and then there's the advanced search. And I showed you the advanced search window. So since I've got some stuff in here, I've been looking at some forms. Let's just refresh this. Remember, I said the content title will refresh your window. You can use this refresh button for your browser, but it will not reset. I guess this is more of a reset than a refresh button. Okay, this is a refresh, this is a reset. It sends everything back, it's like a factory reset on your phone. This is a factory reset on content. It does away with your expansion of the tree. It takes away all of the searches that have been done. It collapses all of the areas in the tree. So you're essentially starting fresh. Okay, you're starting fresh. So a simple search. There's a couple of different ways to search. You can search by ID number. You can search, if you're looking for students, you can search by social security number. You can search by name. When you're searching by name, it's best to search last name, comma, space, first name. I could search by first name. So technically, legally, my first name is David. So if I search by David, and you'll notice that as I type each letter, this is an active search. It's looking for everything in content that it can find that has DAV right now. So there's a whole bunch of DAVs. And if I finish out David, you'll see there's a bunch of Davids out there. And you can scroll down through this list, scroll down through this list, and you might find me, right? You'll find me eventually, but it's a lot of scrolling, because once you reach the bottom, if there's more, you'll see it goes into loading more. Get down to the bottom, loading more results, loading more results. So that's not a real good way to search. If all you know is that person's first name, and you hope that you'll recognize them by last name once you see it, then you can do that. But it's best to do last name, comma, space, first name. If you don't know their first name, last name, comma, space, first initial maybe, or just last name. So if I just do Wyman, here you'll see it finds some Wymans under employees and also some Wymans under student. There are a whole bunch of student Wymans, and there's continued, so it's looking for more. But there I am, not too hard to find me. But if I add comma space David, if I spell it right, there we go, then there's me, and me again as a student. So what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to get in the habit of typing your search and then press enter, because by default it's going to use this first option, which is text fields. If I press enter, it's going to go out and it's going to look for Wyman comma space David in every text field that it can find. So it opens a whole bunch of stuff. I'm kind of unique because I don't have a big student file, but it brings up my finance and budget and all kinds of stuff that I really don't need. So it's best to do you give it a second and let it find, oh, there's no J in my name. You give it a second to find what it's going to find, and then you either look for the employee or the student. I want the employee information, so I click employee Wyman David. And here's all my employee stuff. You're not going to be able to see all of this because you're going to be limited on forms that you can see. But as administrator, I can see everything that's in here. So you'll probably just see maybe credentials, and then down here towards the bottom, because these are in alphabetical order. The folder's in alphabetical order. Maybe PSFs, maybe PTEAs. Okay, so your tree is not going to be near as big as mine, so it'll be a little bit easier for you to find things. Okay, so there's my simple search. I search by name. If I want to get rid of that, I click that X to get rid of it. It clears my information out of there. Best practice, I should reset this if I want to initiate a new search. And this time I'll search by ID number. Again, wait for it to do its thing. If I just press enter, then it's going to go to all text fields and find that number. So give it a second to do its searching. It found me in the employee lookup. I click on that, and there I am again. If I wanted to find something a little more specific without getting too advanced, you'll notice that the flashing insertion line, let me just show you this. You'll notice that the flashing insertion line is up here in this top left corner. That means you can enter additional criteria for your search. So if I just wanted to see PTEAs, I can type PTEA in there, and it's going to do its search, and you'll see here it found HR part-time employment agreement, which is the ones that I want to see. Then it narrows down my tree so that I'm only seeing part-time employment agreements for me. Okay? Real easy. Real easy. And then I think if I was to add a date, maybe I just want if I look for that under date fields, then you'll see it narrows it down even more. So if you know a PTEA was filed and archived into content or DocuScan, because everything that was in DocuScan has been moved over, then you can narrow it down even more just by adding criteria and adding criteria and adding criteria. So the simple search, I guess, doesn't necessarily mean simple, because this is pretty detailed. So let me show you now the advanced search. I'm going to go ahead and reset content. I'm going to expand this field out, or the tree out, so I can see things a little better. I'm going to click my expander buttons, and I'm going to select a field. Advanced searches can be a little bit persnickety, so I mean, whatever you're looking for, you have to know what's contained in any specific field. For me, what I've found works really well is using document type or document date. I mean, if I wanted to find all forms that were filed on, let's go today, on today. Then I click this add search fields. The add search fields doesn't mean add another field for me to put criteria in to search by. This means add these fields into the search. Search for these fields. Okay, so let me switch back to a fuller view, and I'll click this add search fields, and there you can see these are all the forms that were filed or archived today. So that's one way you can use that. Let me reset. Another way you can use this, I'll go back to advanced, and I'm going to select document type. Document type. And I'm going to use contains, because equals, you have to be specific, and I mean really specific. It has to equal exactly letter for letter, space for space. But if you use contains, then it's going to look for fields that contain this information. And so I'm going to look for document type fields that contain, and I'll put PTEA in here, and you'll see it brings up this one, the HR PTEA employment agreement. You select that one, and then you click the add search field. Again, the add search field is how you initiate the search, not add more fields to search by. So I click the add search field, and I'll open this up. Here you can see all the PTEAs. You'll only be able to see the ones for your folks, but I can see them for everybody. So this is everybody that has PTEAs out there. So I can be more specific. I can add a name here, and now it narrows it down to just PTEAs for me. So that's advanced searching and simple searching. For the most part, the simple search will probably get you into whatever you need. Don't jump into advanced searches just because you think it's going to be better. Not necessarily. You saw me go down 3 layers in the simple search to find documents by date. No. To find specific documents, right? I went name and then PTEAs, so on and so forth. So you can use the simple search, just layer it in if that's what you need to do. Okay? So that, as I review my outline here, I believe that covers just about everything we need to look at today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 254-526-1381. Not sure where you're looking at this from. 1381 extension here on campus, or shoot me an email, dwyman@ctcd.edu. So I'm going to say see you later, stay safe, stay happy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.